we'll be looking at something great. But in between, just hope you are coping with the weather. And of course, like I always give an advisory here, that you should please, particularly those of you living along the water line, the flood prone areas, that you should just evacuate. Don't wait for government, because it is a story that touches the heart after the event has happened. And as a lawyer, I know that there is a principle of law that we say that one is wiser after the event. And I don't want it to happen to you. That's why I always bring out this advisory. And today, fortunately, one way or the other, that is what we're going to use as a topic. We want to look at the rains, the floods, and its effect, particularly the reaction of you and government. Have we been proactive enough? Flood occurs in other countries of the world. And of course, whenever advisories is given, people take heed. But in Nigeria, everybody behaves as if it's a normal thing. Don't mind them, and they speak their own grammar, so that they will know that they exist. No, those people in NEMET and all the weather-related agencies are professionals. I mean, if anybody will bear with us, the rains that fell last week, 24 hours non-stop, it was as if, of course, it was open heavens, we in the Christian world would say. And indeed, the heavens opened. And those who are beneficiaries negatively of that effect knows what I'm talking about. We don't want it to befall you. That's why this program, particularly today's episode, is directed towards it. We'll very much take a short break. Then we'll come back after that to get cracking. Today we'll be joined by a guest via Zoom, who is an expert when it comes to this issue of risk flood activities. He's an environmentalist in the name of Benro Olajuigbe. He will be joining us via Zoom from Abuja. I hope he will come up very soon. I hope our technical crew are working on that. But in the studio with me, from my immediate left, is Comrade Akintunde Adedeji.
It's a pleasure having me once again on this program.
He's a human rights activist. And I have the original Dan. Original Dan Kanu is a journalist with today Nigeria News Mark. And of course, together we'll be looking at this issue. I really want to appreciate Teslim Ajayi this morning. To me, the report is even finished everything. We can even just pack our load and go. As a pastor, that's what I do once in a while. If a junior pastor brings out a sermon that is very wonderful, all I need to do is just to pray for the congregation and they go. I guess maybe that may happen, but again, so as not to waste our time, at least let the people have a feel of our own thoughts too. And I'll begin with you, Comrade. Have you experienced any flood-related effect?
Well, I wouldn't say that I've experienced it, no, really.
Yes.
And what we're talking of, the issue of flooding, as it affects, Lagos, and other states across, the country. I think the question that needs to come, through one's mind is that, what are the causes and effects of flooding, and the social and the environmental impact on the residents. So first and foremost, I am not an environmentalist, but experience abounds. Those people who have suffered or experienced flooding or overflooding. What are the causes? I would say, basically it has to do with our poor or non-existent drain or drainage system, or overflow drains and drainages, whereby because in Nigeria, as a case study, or let's say let's narrow it down to Lagos as a case study. I don't think we have a well laid out or structured drainage system in Lagos State as a whole. And anytime there's no torrential downpour or rainfall, so residents bear the brunt of flooding. When no drains and drainages are overclogged, it is the duty and responsibility of the government, specifically.
No, let me intervene here. It's the duty and responsibility of the government to provide drains and, of course, remove the cloggings. But is it not an act of irresponsibility for the people to now put items and substance that clogs the drainage system? Why am I saying this? Well, I'm not trying to sound off. I've been opportune to travel out of this country severally, and I see, of course, once in a while, in the process, rain falls in some places, and immediately the rain stops. You don't see anything because the water goes to the point it's going. Even they have already studied the place to know that, yes, this is a water path, and they deliberately make a water path for it, that the water goes down that place, and that's all. Nothing like drainage. And of course, in this country, particularly in Lagos, I can excuse those who live in the rural areas. In Lagos, you are driving or you are inside a vehicle, someone who is even driving in a sophisticated vehicle, a luxurious vehicle, you see the person roll the glass of his window down and throw something out, obviously. Huh?
I was coming to that really.
Okay then.
Because, the duties and responsibility of the citizen and resident as well.
Yes.
Which has to do with it has to do with orientation problem.
Okay.
Because
let's leave it there. Let us give Dan orientation. I don't know why I brought you. Thank you, my brother, for bringing you. You just dropped in his doorstep. You are the journalist here. So why is it that people have this poor idea and they are not educated when it comes to issues of not blogging the drain, throwing things out? When I was talking about the little experience about people driving and throwing things out, I saw that you are itching to intervene. I didn't know that Comrade wants to come to you, go. So here we are. Why is it that you journalists are not doing your work of educating the people, creating awareness? Even in it, and I challenge all newspaper houses and even media houses. This is the time for corporate social responsibility to put in an advert or a space. Don't block the drainage. Don't manage your refuse very well, and so on. I don't see it anywhere. Even the social media, all your phone, all you see are all your contents.
I think, Wale, you won't put the blames on we reporters.
No, who do we blame? Government. I'll blame you.
No, he has raised a very big point, and that is orientation. When you talk of orientation, what you ask yourself, people that have been found wanting, have they been punished?
Okay.
They have not been punished. I think that is part of it.
You blow that one too out and let people like us, we activists, know that yes, you're taking this step and nothing is happening. Then trust activists.
Nobody is. I think it would be wrong to say we have been writing. But one problem I found, I was opportune to be in Ghana sometime. But I was just hearing, you were just telling Ambaye. I didn't even know.
Why will you know? Are you a Ghanaian?
We are not running away. And there was even a motor that was driving one way. I was surprised. They were saying that it's not a Ghanaian that driving that thing. It's a Nigerian. It's a Nigerian driving that one. I was shocked. And when they
arrested
the guy, shockingly, it was also in Nigeria.
Yes.
What I'm saying is that when you talk of the orientation of the people, it's just like as you said, you see people staying in an S-class car, winding down and throwing maybe or something.
Empty bottle
of maybe
Coke or water.
You find out there are some countries where as you throw it, the next car will even stop you and tell you to go and pick it up. The camera will pick you. So those are the issues. I think part of the problem is that until we begin to punish offenders, but Nigeria is a place where it appears that some people are above the law. And it's a very big problem.
Yes.
And it is an issue that must be addressed.
Yes.
And this flooding issue too, until we begin to realize that there is a rising global temperature.
Yes.
It has not ended. We may still have rough more that are also coming. I witnessed last Wednesday where I stayed, where I hoped to have a little. It was massive.
Yeah.
In fact, I narrowly escaped what happened that day. And one in fact, in Ikorodu, it was fire service ambulance truck that was being used to drain out the rain and some other. So it's so bad. But as he has pointed out, there are a lot of things. There is a poor drainage system. It's a problem. We have poor urban planning. It's a problem. We have to address this thing and also address the people themselves that are offending the law.
Okay then. Is Bero on? Have you been connected? Can we see his face? Yes. How are you, Bero?
Hello. I'm okay. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Go on.
Okay.
How are you?
Well, I'm okay.
That's good. So I'm sure you had the conversation in the studio. You are an expert in this field. By way of definition, you have been involved in this for some decades, and we just want you to maybe throw some light on the discussion in the studio concerning this flood issue. To me, one of the guests raised an issue, the reporter raised an issue, and that's the issue of deliberate. To me, I would say government officers deliberately allows this flooding thing to come in because they know year in, year out there will be flooding. And once there is flooding, that's their own opportunity to make money. Because we in civil society will call it lack of financial accountability. Because the money will be released, it's not accountable. It's a very good way. Spending money for relief materials. Is it relief materials that is important or finding permanent solution to the issue, Bero?
Yeah, you will now get the side of the political economy of the flood management in Nigeria. Just ask yourself, why is Nigerian government interested in attending COP, whether COP 27, 29, 28, 29, but they are not interested in understanding the context in which Nigeria is flooded. Why? Attending COPs give them dollar advantage. They pack in those who know nothing about it, and government begin to fund them to attend climate change meetings and all over the world without coming home to now internalize the result of the meetings they have attended. The first way to start is to understand the context of climate change, in which Nigeria is not in isolation. That especially in a place like Lagos and other coastal area of Nigeria and river banks of Nigeria, there is upwelling of water. Upwelling of water, underground water coming up, increasing sea level. Let's call it what it is, increasing sea level. And at the same time, this has reduced the percolation capacity of the soil to absorb water that is coming from rain and other sources. Inevitably, such an environment is liable to flooding. And that is the situation of Nigeria. And the problem is that we are never concerned about what affects people in Nigeria. Our actions should have been backed up with research that are available, or you commission new one to actually understand the context of climate change in relation to the perennial flooding that is going on in Nigeria today. We have not paid attention to that. And if we have paid attention to that, that will have informed us the necessity of prioritizing disaster risk reduction and not emergency relief whenever it happens. You have said it all. That is because of the political economy of the relief intervention. That is where we are interested. We are not interested in finding lasting and durable solution to the perennial problem of flood in Nigeria. And what I will suggest, if we are serious as a nation, is for us to look through what is going on. For example, a place in Lagos. They will tell you that they are draining, they are doing drainage, they destroy people's home, so that they consider that to be waterway. My question is this: there is no place in Nigeria today that is not a waterway. It depends on the percolation capacity of the soil in that environment, ability of the soil to absorb flood, whether from runoff water or from rain itself. And the intensity of rainfall is increasing. So in that environment, you need an intelligent, well-researched, academic-backed intervention in terms of putting in place.
Let me butt in. Let me butt in. Please. The issue you raised it now. One of our guests not raised it. One of our guests too raised it. That issue is that of the globalization vis-a-vis the rising temperature, of course, that will bring about rain. No doubt about that. Is there anything that you suggest to government? I mean, for the sake of suggesting as a solution towards this. Let's leave the issue. We'll be taking them up now concerning they waiting for disaster to happen, then they will now start sending relief. We don't want disasters to happen anymore, because when it is time to give reliefs, they now maybe 200,000 people are involved. They will ask for 1 million people relief, but maybe the relief will even go to just 50,000 or 100. They will blow that one out of proportion, and of course you see so many people crying. In one of the clips that was shown, we saw the way people were rushing to get to be part of it. Is there a way out, or what is the real solution to these problems?
This is not the way out. The way out is to prioritize disaster risk reduction. And what that means is this. Let me give you a classical example of a country. Holland, Netherlands, is sitting on water. Sitting on water. When you are there, you are not going to be swimming as you are swimming in Lekki, Lagos here. I am telling you, what you have to do is to understand the context in which your flood is happening. Secondly, and that can be situated within the context of increasing volume of water, whether ocean water or underground water. You have it, the sea level is rising and it's going to keep up rising. That means that you have to encourage, for example, dredging of rivers, particularly major rivers in Nigeria, like River Benue, like River Rima, like River Niger, all those rivers, channels, to the point that you not only living it at the confluence town in Lokoja, you do it to the delta where the water, the rivers now enter into the sea. All those areas should be dredged so that they can accommodate more water, whether through rainfall, whether it is spillover from the runoff or whatever. More water will be contained within the banks of our river. And secondly, too, you can equally, you have to understudy what has happened to the dam over the years. Some dams are already weak, and any attempt for rivers to, for waters to flow into them, they just collapse and create a very humongous, destructive flood like you witnessed in Niger State the other day. So dam must be examined. The weak one, that is structurally weak one, must be fortified and expanded where necessary so as to withstand the waves of water that is coming into it, or expand them so as to accommodate much water. And of course, you need to build more dams so that they can you can begin to harvest water that will have been feeding the flooding that we are witnessing today. Those are the disaster risk reduction action that government should prioritize. Aside from that, there is need to train people, whether at community level, on what to do, what to observe when water is falling. For example, let me just give you, it's not a rocket science in most cases. There are some villages where you have wells. All it will take, and the people know the volume of water that is normal in that well. So you can ask them, whenever there is rainfall, at least that is exceeding the normal 2 hours on the average that they are having, they should go and look at the well If the water is upwelling and is coming up, that is a sign that that environment is likely to be flooded. In that wise, what happened is that people know that they are at risk when they know that the water in their wells are coming up beyond the level they are known to. If you are using rope to draw your water from the well before, now you are using hand, you are exposed to danger. Your life is at risk and that of the community. So we should train people appropriately how to manage emergency.
Well done, Benga. Well done, Biro. You really drew me. You really drew my mind back to when I was younger, when I was in the village as a twelve, or if I go in our days in the school and so on and so forth. Which is the well really. You just use your hand to fetch water. Sorry, Biro, so that we too will contribute to your discussion. Just hold on, don't go away, so that we too will have one or two input. Then we'll come back to you. Right. So the way you say God catch you, they pretend say you wear coat today, designer coat. You are from you are an original village boy. You tell us your experience about where water.
He has already captured it. In fact, because I stayed most of the time in Port Harcourt, before my brother was transferred to Maiduguri.
Yes.
Because I know what he said, but I didn't know it the way
he's an expert now.
Yes. Because I found out that we normally use rope in the place, but we really stay around water to take the water. So you find out after heavy rain, sometimes you can even use cup to take the water from the well. But I think, and he has also hit the hammer. People need also to be given proper education.
Yes. So you agree with me?
Yes.
Okay then.
We really need proper education.
Okay then.
By the time you will see, because nature, nothing happens in a vacuum.
Yes.
If anything happens in nature, it's like a car.
Yes.
I've been giving you, there will be signals.
Yes.
There will be signals.
Yes.
Just like the body.
Even the body.
Even the body. Before you begin to say you have malaria, maybe your taste, maybe your there's something that maybe you are not sensitive about most of those things. And what he has said, sometimes I also used to wonder, most of these things also falls on leadership.
Yes.
Somebody said that leadership is the capacity.
Yes.
To see, that is the capacity to see above ordinary eyes. The capacity you have to see beyond the ordinary man. Before something becomes an emergency. You see it.
Yes.
But when you have leaders that that.
Please, Biro, take note of this issue he's raising, because I know you will address it for us. Biro, please take note. Go on.
Because when you involve experts in some of these things, people that really matter, not a matter of in our own, you find so maybe political patronage. You find out somebody who is not a medical doctor, you make him minister for this. Somebody who is not you make him. Of course, you can say they can get information, but there are still the one that needs real experts.
Yes.
So by the time you get good leadership, who looks above the ordinary eyes and know exactly what to do, is a problem. And also the people that are in government, sometimes I wonder, even in my area, if somebody building, you find out that the person is building in a drainage. The next day, you say LAPCA, or what do they call them? This LAPCA,
Building Control Agency.
They don't have stop work, you put date there. And you'll be surprised, after 2 days, that building is still there.
Going on.
You find out that something has exchanged. So when you compromise in most of these things, there will always be a problem.
Yes,
so
problem.
Until we begin to address all this.
So compromise is one of the reasons.
It's key.
Okay then. Comrade, compromise. And most of the time, we comrades, activists, don't look at that. What we want is the community, the environment, the state to move on as it should be. So why is it that there is always this room that people rather want to open the door of compromise rather than closing it?
When we're saying the compromise, I think relatively we are talking of the endemic corruption.
Yes.
That,
yes.
This country.
Yes. Where we are going, maybe Biro to add to that, where we are going, that because that there is going to be flood. Everyone on far, NUMET, God bless them, they will give us the advisory on time that this place, there will be flood, this place, there will be a whole, it will be very torrential, the rain will fall, and one will expect that government will quickly start work. No, they will wait. In between, instead of, as soon as NUMET gives this advice, I know that what they will now do is that they will now begin to put down pen on paper so as to the amount that they will collect from government. As soon as the thing happen, they go to the various state houses or Aso Rock that we need relief. We need relief.
Money is released.
And money is really bam, unaccounted for, unbudgeted for.
Emergency money. It's always massive.
I don't like that language. Go on, Jared. Don't mind him. Go on.
That's the beauty of science.
Yes.
Because, there are pre-warnings by, the expert, the meteorologists. And, even at the global stage, we've heard about climate change, about global warming, the emission of greenhouses, the ozone layer that have been disrupted, which will now trigger the issue of torrential rainfalls. So for our government to be proactive in that direction, they should have put some precautionary measure in place.
That's what we are saying.
Until that disaster happens. And just as you rightly pinpointed, from the hand of the citizen as well. That's why I said orientation.
Yes.
The indiscriminate disposal of waste. Because when you know that the drains and drainage system are nothing to write on it.
No, let's look at something again. I mean, there are several times I always object. I always intervene. I always play a human's job. You see that this is a drainage. You wanted to go there. That's why I quickly pick it up. You see this is a waterway. We have been living in this environment for more than 5, 6, 7 years. We know that this is one of the flood paths. All of a sudden, one morning, Miss Road, big boy, now starts erecting a structure on that place, and everybody keeps quiet. Obviously, we are encouraging inanities by way of how do I call it now? Innocence or just carelessness. We have compromised our status too, because our safety at that point is compromised. Because if it happens, not only will it affect the man, in fact the man may even have built a structure, constructed a raft building, a very strong building, that when the rain is coming, it will evade its own place and now go to your place.
The question that needs to be asked, who gave approval in the first place?
But now the approval has been given. We leave that one. The activist in me, in you. Is it not our duty that, because I know, you know what I'm saying, that they will call us, look, come and see what is happening to us, so for us to take up as activists?
We are doing our
best.
Because can't be everywhere.
Our best are not enough.
Is that right?
Exactly.
Bero, please help us out. Help us out. You now, both ways, you now play the role of an environmentalist and, of course, the activist in us all. So let us hear from you. Solutions now, particularly, I'm looking at the people who are quiet, who allow this thing to happen. Because to me, a house cannot just grow like a balloon. You blow the balloon. This is a balloon. Within a minute, a house does not grow like that. It takes time. Go on.
Yeah.
Go on, Bero.
Yeah, that's what I was. After those local people, community people observe their well, they shouldn't observe well for observing sake. In the preparedness plan, the government or the national government, there should be a place where those who have harvested indicators of early warning should report, so that there will be early response. So those that observe their well and they find their liability or vulnerability should alert the responders. That is the essence of looking at when they are in community. Scientifically, of course, there could be information from an organization like NIMET. That should not equally be ignored. In case of the people that build houses on the so-called waterway, I've said it. Government approved the plan. Why did they approve the plan? And if now that place, assuming that the place was not a waterway before the approval of the plan, now it's a waterway. The thinking, government should put a thinking camp so that it doesn't end becoming government wonders that destroy houses. What is being done everywhere now is to channel volume of water, excess water, through underground pipe, discharge them into body of water like ocean in case of Lagos, or body of other rivers in case of other places, where, of course, some of them can even be channeled into the buffer they have built in names of dams and every other thing, in order to achieve stability in the ecosystem of the water cycle. So it's not about the people. Every day you see them bulldozing people's houses because of their inability to work with research that told them that drainage must not only be seen. In some cases, they are built underground, lay underground, and water will pass through them. Even though those houses are there, it will not be affected. The houses will not be affected. It will not become liability to government or liability to the owners of houses. That is why I still want them to see the nature of drainage pattern that have been put in place in Holland. It's critical to understanding what should be done, rather becoming a government of vandal that specializes in destroying people's houses. For another place will become waterway next year, and they move to destroy houses again. There must be an end to this impunity that is led by ignorance in terms of climate change contest, in terms of running water contest, in terms of even understand the entire water cycle. If that is not achieved, we are not going to go anywhere. And government will continue to say that they are destroying people's houses because it's waterway. Where is not a waterway today? Both the one that are approved and both that are not approved. You can deal, if you want to do urban renewal, let it be clear that you are doing it and you are paying adequate compensation for those whose houses are affected. And not because it's a waterway or the approval you have granted before, when it was not even considered to be a waterway. The world is changing. There is global warming. And of course, there will continue to be resurgence of flood if we do not prioritize disaster risk reduction in terms of, like I've mentioned, in terms of preparing people, in terms of building capacity, in terms of properly funding disaster risk reduction work, rather than funding emergency relief at all times because of its political economy that will not solve any problem. And I've advised that every state in Nigeria must create a camp, displaced people's camp. There must be one, at least, in every state in Nigeria, so that when you are doing evacuation of people that are at arm's length or liable to flood, you now tell them where to go, rather than asking them to relocate to where they don't know. So vulnerability is geographical, vulnerability is economic, vulnerability could even be political, vulnerability could be gender related. So we should appreciate and understand all angles to vulnerabilities so that we pick them, address them at the level of developing preparedness plan, whether it's a national preparedness plan, whether it's a state preparedness plan, whether it's a local government preparedness plan. All this must come on board, and they must emergency fund should come from consolidated fund, so that they can react to they can respond to emergency. If after you have put this in place, there is still flooding, then you can now use that fund to respond to that. Not all these people drawing money recklessly from public purse to fund their gluttony and call it funding emergency.
Yes. Thank you very much. Yeah, now I'll still hang on with you. I'll still be with you, Gbero. This is your own parting shot. And I just want us to look at how we can now bring this, even the funding itself or the spending itself, how can we now bring them to account? No doubt is to us, to them is something, is a sleaze, is a cash, is an opportunity for them to have access to government fund. But obviously, we can bring them to account. Let's remember the Minister of Humanitarian Affairs the other day, who told us that she fed children during COVID and it didn't happen. And of course, some of us took her up and eventually we got results. Can't this be done? Maybe if something is done in this regard, it can reduce the level, the attention now. It can shift the attention from looking at relief material to giving adequate solution and permanent solution to this issue of flood-related matters. Did you get me?
I remember just before the flood of 2012, I prepared an accountability framework that I used to engage NEMA at that time, so that anytime you are saying you are responding to emergency, and not only them and other stakeholders, these are the things you have to do. The name of the person that is receiving the reward, the relief items must be there. The relief item given must be written, must be documented, and everything. That we have not been doing that for at least before then. I know that I was able to do that. But whether it's being used today, I don't know. That we must agree on accountability framework. And there is a standard of response that people must know. The standard of response, in most cases, particularly for food items, have been defined in the SPEAR standard, what we call SPEAR standard in emergency response. And not only that, you must identify the vulnerable people. You can't be distributing material to your families or using your intuition to give people that are not the most vulnerable and be thinking that you are doing emergency work. That is poor work. It's not emergency work. And emergency work, for example, if you are giving relief, you shouldn't be giving household 2 Indomie noodle and you say that you are doing emergency response. It's not an emergency response. What you are doing is to further decimate the condition of the people, reducing them to subhuman. What you should do is you know what they are eating before the disaster, and the SPEAR standard assume that you are going to put your plan on the basis of what they were doing before then, because the emergency work you are doing is to put people back on their feet, not diminish them to the extent that they want even to commit suicide. Imagine somebody that was buying half bag of rice in his house per month before. Now everything is gone. Now you are giving him 2 Indomie noodle. You are sending such person to depression. So there must be a well-prepared preparedness plan that captures disaster risk reduction, the context of the problem, how disaster risk reduction should be carried out, how emergency response should be carried out, where the funds should come from, what should go to each household. For example, on the average, in a family in Nigeria, as captured by the last preparedness plan that I supported, you have 5 people there. You can't be messing up with them. And I want the government to equally understand that responding to emergency is not a charity work. It's the core responsibility of government, as enshrined in the Constitution of Nigeria, that the welfare of the people and their security is the primary purpose of government. What that means, that there's no better meaning to that, to what you do to people that are in distress, that are in emergency, that have been affected and impacted by situation of flooding in your country. If you still go back to Mokwa, the accountability is chartered, money donated, we don't know where the money is now. Everything is shrouded in mystery. And of course, like we have said, corruption has invaded emergency response landscape in Nigeria to the extent that what gets to the people that are responders is more than those that are affected and impacted by the disaster they are responding to. I'm not saying for every one of them or every one of us, but then we must bring out accountability framework that will ensure that reduction during emergency response is extremely reduced, rather than continue in the shenanigan that we call emergency response. Humanitarian landscape is becoming huge in Nigeria, and resources should be devoted to that, and that resources must not end in basket of corruption. So people must be held accountable for what they do during emergency response or relief response, or whichever one you choose. And like I said, the most important aspect of work when you are talking of humanitarian governance, is how do you reduce the risk before the emergencies land?
We appreciate you, Gbero. That would be a very good point to stop. We really appreciate you. You've really brought your expertise to this discourse, and of course, it has enriched us here. And of course, all those who are watching us, and I know government officers too, and of course, the people themselves, because this is a new vista. The way you have opened it up, I don't think many people saw it that way. To us, it's something that will live with us forever. But to me, with what you have said, it means then definitely there is hope that we can always manage this disaster, this flooding and all in a better way. Maybe we'll call you back in this program. If you do a very good presentation to us, you have failed, and you'll come back to repeat that paper. You'll come back again for another presentation. Maybe we'll call you next week, maybe subject to the approval of the management, so that again, we now look at it deeper. And of course, see how we can this thing can be solved once and for all. At least we lay the foundation for solving it. Anyway, don't go away. Maybe you do. It's time. Original Dankano, your parting shot in 2 minutes, because time is not on our side.
I think my own parting shot should be that government, should rise to its responsibility.
Yes.
And the people also, should be awakened.
Through how? Awakened through what? Consciousness through what?
That they should be conscientized.
Through who?
Through the press.
I'm playing the work of a lawyer. I put you in the dock.
Exactly. We are doing, of course, you can't do enough things like this. There's a lot of inadequacies here and there.
Yes.
But when we take up the challenge, let's create this awareness so that people will be conscious of it. When people get conscious of it, they'll be responsible to tackling it.
Thank you very much. Comrade.
Well, the government owes a duty as a social contract, a pact, they sign with, the citizens.
Yes.
To make sure their lives and properties are protected.
Yeah.
Why the citizens as well, need to be a good citizen.
Yes.
To the government.
Yes. A good citizen to the government, and the government too must be a good government to the citizen. It's a simple thing. No wahala. You do your own part. We do our own part, and everybody, we are living in a good life. That's difficult now. Is it only in Nigeria that we have rains or floods? All over the world, this thing happen. All the floodings that we see that happens in other climes, those ones are something that just happen without warning, that maybe overbearing. Not that normal thing, that these ones are normal thing now. The rain will fall, is natural. And you don't take care of it, then you now wait for disaster to happen. You now say, give us 200 million to take care of disaster people. And of course, just as my brother said, Egbero, a big boy who can afford 1 bag of rice, you now give him 2 packs of Indomie. Is it only Indomie? What of the gas or firewood? What of the other condiments to be used to supporting it? Don't forget that such a situation, there is no water, and the man may be used to bottle water.
Exactly.
And you now say they should take water, general tank, and in fact, it's going to be dehumanizing. And I hope that's why you and I, coming into this matter, we must begin to increase even our own consciousness. Let's leave the press alone, but again, it's a challenge to the press that they must bring this to the fore, that it must be part of their corporate social responsibility to educate the people, even to calling government on its own responsibility too, that no, call the representative. Like during the program, during the mini feature, one of the representatives was asking the federal government to declare Ojodu, Ikorodu, and somewhere a disaster area. That's what we want. And for all our representatives to be up and doing, stand up for us. That's why they went to the National Assembly. And I guess that's a very good point to hang today's program. I don't know, maybe people just got carried away, that they did not even test us to give their own contribution. Let's see how it goes next time. This is the program for today. We want to thank Gbero Olajuigbe. In our own local palace, we call him the Kabiyesi. And of course, you proved yourself that you are the Kabiyesi when it comes to issues of environmental risk assessment. We want to thank you for making time to be with us.